The episode of The View started like any other, with the hosts gathered around the table ready to tackle the hot topics of the day. But the energy in the studio shifted the moment Queen Camilla was introduced as the surprise guest. The audience rose to their feet in applause as she entered with poise, her presence commanding attention instantly. Meghan Markle, who was also invited as a guest for the same segment, looked slightly unsettled as the Queen consort took her seat across from her. Viewers at home could already sense that sparks were about to fly. At first, the conversation seemed polite enough. Whoopi Goldberg welcomed both women warmly, and Joy Behar cracked a light-hearted joke about having royalty on both sides of the table. Meghan smiled, though her eyes flickered nervously toward Camilla. The Queen consort returned a tight-lipped grin, maintaining her regal composure. When asked about her charitable work, Meghan launched into a well-prepared speech about her initiatives, speaking passionately about women's empowerment and community outreach. The audience listened respectfully, but Camilla's reaction remained unreadable. Then, the atmosphere changed. Camilla was invited to share her own perspective on similar causes, and she did so with calm confidence. She praised long-term commitment to service, emphasizing consistency, humility, and authenticity over glamour and publicity. Without mentioning Meghan directly, her words seemed aimed like arrows. The host sensed the tension immediately, and Joy leaned forward with a gleeful smirk, encouraging Camilla to elaborate. Meghan shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her smile faltering. It didn't take long before the clash became unmistakable. Meghan interjected, insisting that modern public figures must use their platforms boldly and unapologetically. She argued that visibility was vital, especially for causes often ignored by traditional institutions. Camilla responded sharply, her tone measured but cutting, saying that true service doesn't require constant attention or self-promotion. The audience gasped, realizing that the Queen consort had just called Meghan out on live television, without even using her name. Meghan's composure cracked, her voice rose slightly as she defended her approach, pointing out the criticism she had endured and the resilience it took to keep moving forward. But Camilla, unflinching, countered that real resilience was about staying the course quietly, without turning every struggle into a spectacle. The two women locked eyes, the tension at the table now impossible to ignore. The audience leaned in, glued to the unfolding drama. Whoopi tried to mediate, suggesting they both had valid points, but Camilla wasn't finished. She leaned forward, her words sharp but elegant, and told Meghan that integrity isn't measured by headlines but by lasting results. The comment hit like a thunderclap. Meghan's lips tightened, and her attempt to respond faltered. Camilla's calm delivery contrasted with Meghan's visible frustration, making the Duchess appear defensive while the Queen consort appeared unshakable. As the exchange continued, Camilla's authority became more pronounced. Every sentence from her carried the weight of tradition, discipline, and lived experience. Meghan, meanwhile, began to stumble, her answers coming off as rehearsed and less convincing under the intense scrutiny. The crowd reacted audibly, some even cheering at Camilla's remarks. For Meghan, it was a humiliating moment, one that played out in real time for millions to witness. By the time the segment wrapped, Meghan's polished confidence had crumbled, and Camilla's dominance was undeniable. The Queen consort had not shouted, raised her voice, or shown anger, instead, she dismantled Meghan's arguments piece by piece with calm precision. When the credits rolled, Meghan offered a stiff smile, but the damage was done. Camilla stood gracefully, thanked the hosts, and left the stage to roaring applause, her dignity intact. Social media erupted within minutes. Clips of the confrontation flooded Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Hashtags like #Camilla vs Meghan and #The View Showdown began trending worldwide. Some fans rallied behind Meghan, accusing the show of setting her up. But far more praised Camilla for her poise and for finally saying what many believed needed to be said. The overwhelming reaction was that Meghan had been outmatched and outshined in every possible way. News outlets picked up the story instantly. Headlines described it as Camilla's live takedown and The View's most explosive moment yet. Analysts debated the cultural and royal implications of the clash, while late-night comedians joked that Meghan might think twice before sitting across from a Queen consort again. The confrontation became the defining television moment of the week, reshaping public perception of both women. For Meghan, the fallout was bruising. The segment highlighted her vulnerability under pressure and reinforced criticisms of her tendency to appear overly polished and defensive. For Camilla, it was a public relations triumph. She emerged as strong, composed, and articulate, silencing critics who had long underestimated her. The contrast between the two women could not have been sharper, and the world had witnessed it unfold live on television. The incident will likely go down as one of the most dramatic moments in The View's history. It wasn't just a celebrity spat, it was a cultural flashpoint, a symbolic clash between two very different approaches to public life. And in the eyes of many, Queen Camilla walked away not just victorious, but utterly dominant, having destroyed Meghan Markle on live TV with nothing more than her words and her unshakable composure.